The following is a presentation of the Redskins Broadcast Network.
Welcome to Redskins Chronicles. I'm Larry Michael at Redskins Park. Each week here on Redskins Chronicles, we take an in-depth look at a piece of this team's storied legacy, and today a very special person, a special team superstar from the past, Mike Nelms. Before we hear from Mike, Redskins taking on Denver Sunday in Denver, the return of Mike Shanahan to the site of his 2 Super Bowl championships. The Redskins are 2-4 coming off a win over the Bears, and the Broncos are 6-1 having lost for the first time this year, last time out in Indianapolis. Last week, what a shootout at FedExField. It was the Think Pink game for the Redskins. A sea of pink across FedExField, and the fans went home happy. Here's the highlights, brought to you by Ameritel.
In the pistol, Robert goes the wrong way. Turns, fires, got a man wide open. It is caught. Jordan Reed at the 20, inside the 20. RG3 play action wheels. He's got time, deep over the middle. It is picked off. It is picked off by the Bears. It is Charles Tillman up the right side, and the Bears have it inside the Redskins red zone. Cutler with Forte behind him. He gives it to Forte, running right, leaps over a defender and into the end zone.
Too easy.
Robert takes a snap, fires over the middle. It is caught. Pierre Garçon inside the 15, taken down at the 13-yard line. Handoff Roy Halou to the left, right through a hole, into the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown Redskins! Cutler play action. Cutler looking, fires off to the left. It is deflected and it's intercepted. It's intercepted by the Redskins all the way into the end zone. It's Brian Orekpo and the pick 6. Cutler takes, looking under a lot of heat and gets sacked. He gets sacked. And it was big Chris Baker. Cutler is down. From the shotgun, McCown hands it off up the middle. Big hole for Forte. Breaks the tackle to the 40, off to the races 30, to the 20, 25, 10, and down into the end zone. It's a touchdown. Same play, no. Bootleg to the right. Robert under heat. Lofts it up for Robinson. It is caught. Caught at the 40, up the right sideline. Inside the 30, down to the 20-yard line. First and goal at the 3. Handoff to Halou. Running to the left, looking for some room. Makes a cut. Driving into the end zone. Touchdown, Redskins. McCown takes a snap, steps up, he's going to scramble up to the 15, goes to the left to the 10, planted at the 5. He takes a snap, he gives it to Forte up the middle, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown. This time it's a handoff to Alfred Morris, running to the right, looking for room, breaks through a hole, driving ahead across the 45 to the 50, still driving ahead to the 46-yard line. Robert takes, play action fake, he's got time, going deep. Looking for Robinson, gets bumped inside the goal line, and he catches it, touchdown! Robert, the triple option, stands, fires the middle, caught. Jordan Reed at the 40, 45 to the 50, down to the 48-yard line of the Chicago Bears. At the 44, Robert fakes the handoff, scrambling to the right, stiff arms a man, throws it upfield, it is caught! It is caught, great hands, Pierre Garçon! Garçon, the first down catch. Robert takes a snap, it's high, he gives it to Halou. Halou drives in! Touchdown, Redskins! Touchdown, Roy Halou, his 3rd touchdown of the game. And the Redskins take the lead with 45 seconds to play.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
McCown takes a snap, under heat, he's gonna get hit, he's gonna get sacked!
That'll do it!
2-1, game over! Game over, the Redskins win a thriller. 45-41 the final.
That's how it went last Sunday. The shootout, the Redskins beat the Bears. Now, earlier this week, Robert Griffin III met the media. Robert coming off the best all-around performance of the season for him. Here's what he had to say as the team got set to go to Denver.
Denver, heavy favorites. Lots of people think that you guys have no shot against them. What is your thought? What is the team's thought right now going in, perhaps being the underdogs this weekend?
I'm used to being the underdog myself, coming from Baylor University. They're doing really good right now, so had to throw that out there. But I'm used to that, and, a lot of guys on this team are used to that as well. Confidence is a choice. You got to choose to be confident, and it's our job to go out there and play. It doesn't matter what anybody says. It matters what we do.
Robert Griffin III earlier this week. More on the Broncos and Redskins later in the show. Each week here on Redskins Chronicles, we take a look at the Redskins' history through the eyes of the men that played the game. And coming up, Amanda Mitchell and Redskins historian Mike Richman sit down with the great Mike Nelms. Redskins Chronicles is brought to you by Diageo, who reminds all Redskins fans responsibility is a team sport. Redskins Chronicles is brought to you by AAA.
Welcome back to Redskins Chronicles. I'm Amanda Mitchell, joined by Redskins historian Mike Richman and Mike Nelms, one of the greatest punt returners in NFL history. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Amanda.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Well, we want to talk about your career as a Redskin, but we want to talk about where it all started. So you were born in Texas, am I correct?
Fort Worth, Texas, yes.
Fort Worth, Texas. So what made you, that's a big football area, what made you get into the sport?
Football is big in Texas. So as a kid, I was exposed to it and liked it. What really propelled me was my parents and my brother. I had positive influences. They always told me I could do whatever it was that I wanted to do.
Now, growing up in Texas, is it true that you were originally a Cowboys fan?
Yes, that's true. As a child, I grew up loving and living and dying with the Cowboys. But when you grow up, you put away childish things, and so I learned through the error of my ways and learned how to hate the Cowboys.
Hate the Cowboys?
Yes, appropriate hate.
Then you ended up at Sam Houston State. Talk to me a bit about your college career.
I ended up at Sam Houston State because I didn't get recruited by a lot of big schools. I was always told, you're too skinny, you're too slow, you're not that bright, so,
Did that fuel you?
It didn't bother me, it didn't faze me at all. I knew what I lacked, I knew what I needed to work on, and I was willing to do that. What a lot of people failed to see was my dedication. And so I knew I had to work on certain things. And God gives everybody talents, so your job is to find out what they are and utilize them. Know what your weaknesses are, minimize them. Know what your strengths are and capitalize on them. And so when I got really good coaching, I was able to do that at an increased rate of speed and efficiency. And I had some good coaches along the way that really gave me, I love to say, good fundamental skills, because I'm into fundamentals.
Now, from Sam Houston State, you ended up at Baylor.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Listen, that story. I've had every kind of coach that you can imagine, from completely laissez-faire, hands-off, to Attila the Hun. That was actually my experience at Sam Houston State. First coach was laissez-faire. Second coach was Attila the Hun, and actually received assistance from some on the coaching staff to get me to Baylor. So they knew someone, they made phone calls, they spoke to my father, and they said, listen, might be a good deal for Mike to get out of here and go somewhere else.
Did you have coaches who had draconian ways of doing things? Is that what you mean by
draconian? That's putting it nicely. Worse than that. Just literally, we would go first team against first team every day, live, and before game time, pre-game warm-up was bull in the ring. We'd circle up, number everybody, one guy in the middle, and 10, 8, 6, 15, and smoke them. And if you didn't bring the smoke, you'd get out there and light you up.
Well, you persevered so much that you were eventually drafted in the NFL by the Bills.
Yeah, well, Baylor was really good for me. Baylor was really good. It gave me a nice platform, visibility that I don't think I would have gotten out of Sam Houston State. And so I'm forever grateful for them giving me an opportunity to come there.
How did that make you a better kick returner for the Redskins?
That really didn't have much of an impact on my being a kick returner, other than just having the opportunity to play and understanding game speed and understanding how the game is played and the mentality of people. I got a real good opportunity to return kicks when I was in Canada. When I got drafted by Buffalo, they drafted me as a corner. I got in the line for kick returners, and the coach came over and said, Mike, what are you doing? I said, well, I want to try returning kicks. He says, get out of the line, man. I said, well, what? Get out of the line. I said, okay. It's just too slow. I mean, 6'1", 190. I guess I was a little, at the time, too big, too tall, too slow. And so when I got to Canada, I got in line, and they said, sure. And so I got an opportunity to return kicks in Canada.
And then a lot more opportunities after that. And Mike, we want to hear about you becoming a Redskin when we return. Redskins Chronicles will be right back. Welcome back, Redskins Chronicles. We're joined now by Mike Nelms, again, one of the best kick returners to play for the Washington Redskins. Mike, you were telling us about your experience in the Canadian Football League. How did that help you transition to the NFL?
As far as being a kick returner in NFL, CFL was extremely important. I mean, I honed my skills there and cut my teeth there.
Now, in terms of your skills, there were some rules in the Canadian Football League, which I know later helped you in the NFL, such as there was a no fair catch rule.
Yes.
And also, defenders had to be 5 yards from the punt returner or kick returner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it allowed you some freedoms. It allowed you to do weird things. And, I'd do stuff like wait and then catch the ball running forward. And they're trying to get out of the way because they don't want to get within the 5-yard restraining area.
That made you the premier guy. You were fearless. So talk to me about that no fair catch.
I decided not to fair catch after George Michaels criticized me after a game. I was on the 10-yard line. I tried to slide sideways, and I said, okay, I'll fair catch. And I fair caught. I had backed up about 4 yards, so when I fair caught it, I was on the 6th. And he walked, and he really criticized, lit into me. And I got upset at first, and I said, wait a minute, let me look at this. And I asked myself, why do you fair catch? I said, because that's what everybody, that's what they do. So why do you fair catch? I didn't have an answer. Why do I fair catch? Because everyone else does. Well, does it make sense for me? No. I'm not afraid of getting hit. I don't mind contact. I think I can catch the ball, and I think I can still get yards when others can't. So I decided, I'm not fair catching anymore because there's no need to. And they'll get tired of running down all the time.
Now, in terms of how you ended up with the Redskins, didn't Bobby Beathard and his staff come out to scout you in the CFL?
I know that Willie Woods had been at Toronto.
Former Packers.
Yeah, and he had coached at Toronto, and we had played against Toronto.
Right.
And I had flown to like 15 different teams. My father was my agent, and I'd gone over to Dallas numerous times, and I was getting tired, and I just said, listen, I'm tired of this. I want someone to just give me a realistic contract, and then I'll sign. And Washington was my last trip. I got here. They appeared to negotiate in good faith, and I understand from Bobby later that Willie Wood had called him and spoke favorably of me. And so they stepped up and hit the numbers I was looking for.
Speaking of reasonable contracts, you came to the Redskins, you joined them for 5 years. Talk to me about some of those years. What was it like becoming a Redskin?
It was wild. Washington fans are unique. They love their Redskins, and that's cool. Getting here, seeing that the Skins fans were really wild was cool. And George Allen had set the table because Redskins fans were really knowledgeable about special teams, and they appreciated special teams. And so you really felt that you were part of the team as opposed to just, intermission, time to go get a drink. When special teams were on the field, they felt that we could make a difference, and oftentimes we did.
And you mentioned George Allen, and you mentioned in your past you had some laissez-faire, hands-off coaches. Talk to us about Joe Gibbs.
Joe Gibbs, one of my Christian coaches. It was great to have someone who said what they meant what they said. And they lived and coached as you would desire that they would, above board. You can't ask for much more than that.
That's important in a role model. Now, who were some of your other role models or closest teammates?
Wow. I always liked the way Art Monk was so calm and cool. You'd never know that he was first-round draft pick. You'd never know that the guy is really good. I mean, he'll walk in the room, he'll be in there, you won't know it, and then he'll go out, and it's like, hey, was Art in here? But I appreciated that. I ended up hanging out a lot with Monty Coleman and Mel Kaufman. Yeah.
Tell us about your favorite year as a Redskin.
As a Redskin, and looking at my whole career, I mean, certainly going to and winning the Super Bowl, that's it, because we tried to do that. We knew we could do it, and I felt at the time that we weren't the best group of individuals, but I knew that we were the best team, because we were going to fight down to the end. And if there was time left on the clock, it was going to get done. That was cool. And when you knew it, I mean, you knew that you knew that you knew. And you could look at the guys next to you and know that feeling. And so, okay, we're behind by 12. And how much time is on the clock? And you look and you go, done. And that was
You had
cool.
a 76-yard return that has been credited possibly with changing the momentum of that game. Talk to me about that moment.
I'm sick enough to love those kind of moments. Some people shrink away from them, but I'm crazy enough that I don't have a problem with it. And I love, if it's a crucial time, kick me the ball. And they did. And man, my blocking, they always would block. And it was simple. I mean, it was really easy. I caught the ball, it was a right return. I started to the right, and boom, 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 there's a hole. What do? Cut the gas on, and that's what I did, and it was nice.
You certainly did all season long. And Mike, we have some footage from the 1982 season, so let's take a look at those clips.
All season long, Redskins special teams answered the call of Coach Wayne Sevier.
Count them off, and then let's stick the leather to them. Let's go!
Return teams cleared the way for Mike Nelms, who set a Redskin career record for punt return yardage in only his third season. These same men also led the entire NFC in covering both kickoffs and punts. Washington special teams were indeed special, and when the NFL strike hit, their unity helped hold the Redskins together.
Well, 1982 sure was a big year. So talk to me a little bit after the Super Bowl win. How did the guys feel? What were the next 2 years like?
It took me about a couple of weeks to realize we actually had won, because it took me that long for it to settle in. We knew we could do it again. We felt that we could do it again. If I had to do over again, I wouldn't be quite so confident, because I think the confidence is what got us in the end, because we always knew that we could come back. We always knew we could come back.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk. Good luck to you. We'll check in and see what the Redskins are doing this week when Redskins Chronicles return.
Redskins Chronicles is brought to you by Diageo, who reminds all Redskins fans responsibility is a team sport. Redskins Chronicles is brought to you by AAA. Welcome back to Redskins Chronicles. I'm Larry Michael at Redskins Park. Sunday rapidly approaching, the Redskins at Denver, and the return of Mike Shanahan. The coach spent 21 years in Denver as a head coach and assistant coach, winning 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos. This year's Broncos team is off to a fast start. Despite losing their first game of the year last week in Indy, the Broncos are 6-1, led by the one and only Peyton Manning. He's been on fire this year, and the stats tell the story. He's the #1 rated quarterback in the league, a rating of 123.3, 12 full points ahead of second place Phillip Rivers. Manning has 25 touchdowns in 6 games and only 3 interceptions. He spreads the ball around to a host of fine receivers. His favorite target appears to be Wes Welker, who's caught 8 touchdowns already this year. Defensively, the Broncos have struggled, 30th overall, 32nd against the pass, but it seems with Peyton Manning raining down touchdown passes, the defense has a pretty large margin for error. Here's head coach Mike Shanahan's thoughts on returning to the city where he won 2 Super Bowls.
Coach, there's obviously an important storyline anytime someone goes back to a place where they've been. A lot of attention being made about you guys going back to Denver. Your thoughts on Tyler and Corey going back to play the Broncos?
Okay, enough said. Let's go to the next question. Well, it's been, it's been 4.5 years, so it's not like it was yesterday or the year before. So I think it's a little bit different than what normally happens when you're gone for 6 months or 9 months. I've done it before when I was with the 49ers and with the Raiders. You go back to the place you're at, a lot of emotion. I think this is a little bit different than most.
Redskins at Denver, 4:25 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. Thank you so much for watching Redskins Chronicles. I'm Larry Michael at Redskins Park, and we'll see you right here next week.